Welcome back to another round of our top 5 prospects at each position in the Cardinals organization. Today we're doing the third baseman. Third basemen are pretty easy. First off, there's no one. There isn't anyone on the list that you're already familiar with. It was always going to be Paul DeJong, but now Paul DeJong is a really solid shortstop, trending in the right direction. And that actually helps leave a bit of a hole in the Cardinals organization at third base. It's a really interesting group. Still a lot to prove in the group. So we'll kick it off with our top 5 prospects. For me, our first prospect is number 1 on the list is Evan Mendoza. Mendoza was an 11th round pick in the 2017 draft by the St. Louis Cardinals out of NC State, which again is where Andrew Knizner came from. Not directly, but Mendoza ended up actually replacing down the line Knizner a bit at third base when Knizner became a catcher. And I think it's really cool that they're in the organization together. That's the kind of weird things I get juiced up about. The deal with Mendoza is he was drafted, went to State College, hit the cover off the ball at State College, won their batting title, and then got a promotion to Peoria where he struggled a little bit but started to get himself together by the end of his turn in Peoria. There's some questions about his ability to play third. Personally, I don't see him. I think he has a bright future there. But again, he has a small sample size at the lower levels, so there's still a lot to be desired. There's still a lot to learn about the type of player Mendoza is. This is what I know, is in 236 at-bats during 2017, he had 28 extra base hits, 20 doubles, 4 triples, 4 home runs, and he only struck out 33 times. That's a disciplined hitter. That's the kind of hitter that you get excited about. That's a hitter that's reminiscent of what Andrew Knizner did in his 2016 post-draft season. Keep an eye on that. If in 1 year time we're talking about Evan Mendoza the way we were talking about Andrew Knizner, then that's an amazing 11th round pick. I think it will be. Number 2 on our list is Patrick Wisdom. It's hard for me to put a 26-year-old who repeated a level AAA. His second year at AA was his second year at AAA was in 2017. It's hard for me to put him on the list at second. But the third base group is kind of an unusual group with guys who are prospects, but they're too far away to really get a feel for. The deal with Patrick is it's all power. He's super powerful. As you'll see in the GIF there, I feel like I'm selling my soul by not calling it a GIF. As you'll see in that GIF there, the interesting thing about Patrick is that he can also play first base, and he does it pretty well. He's played it in the past, but he kind of rededicated himself after the Cardinals demoted Aledmys Diaz down to Memphis, and so that he'd get more playing time, and Aledmys would get time all over the field. He's just that kind of guy, and it was kind of weird at first, but you know, as the GIF shows, he was making plays like that, some pretty impressive plays on a regular basis over at first. He's going to be a super utility player. He's a perfect bench bat at the major league level. He can play third, he does it well. He can play first, he does it well. He offers power off the bench. It's just you don't want him to get more than 150 at-bats in the season. You don't want him to get Jed Jerko at-bats. That's too many. 200 at the most. And, hopefully he makes it to the Rule 5 draft. Hopefully by the time you're reading this article, he's already been added to the 40-man. I'm recording it before then, so I apologize for not having up-to-the-date information. Number 3 on our list is a gentleman named Brady Whalen. Brady's 19 years old. He played at the Johnson City level. He used to be a shortstop, was drafted as a shortstop, played 2016 as a shortstop, but he is a third baseman now. He's rough in the field so far. He still has a lot to learn, and there's a lot to be desired in his play there. He's a good enough size that if it doesn't work out there, I think he'd be okay at first. I don't want to think about that yet. That's still far too far in the future. What I do know is that in 190 at-bats, he had 21 extra base hits, including 7 home runs and 12 RBIs. And his strikeout to walk ratio, he struck out 37 times and walked 34 times. That's pretty good for a slugger. Again, he's 19. There's still a lot to learn. But I was really impressed with his JC season. Now it's just a matter of if he can still continue to hit for power and improve at third base. Number 4 on our list is a name who I'm just going to butcher it. The Hispanic viewers and listeners, you're gonna hate me for this. But number 4 on our list is Eris Montero. He's 19. He played in the Gulf Coast League. In my mind, he and Brady Whalen are a lot alike. The difference is that Montero's a level below where Whalen is. Montero was playing in the Gulf Coast League. And I'm not going to put a guy who played in the Gulf Coast League ahead of a guy who played a level ahead of him when they're the same age. Montero has good power. It's the same kind of thing with him, though. He and Whalen are so much alike. There's just questions as to if he's going to stay at third base. I love his swing. I'm telling you, he has a preload that reminds me so much of Albert Pujols. That's the only thing about him that reminds me of Albert Pujols. I can't stress that enough. I'm not calling him Albert Pujols. He has kind of a, from an angle, it looks like how Pujols would stand. He's fit. There were some reports that he was a little chunky, a little heftier, and that's not the case. He's pretty fit. He looks like a guy who can handle his own, but he needs to get better at third base. And, 22 extra base hits and 173 at-bats in the Gulf Coast League is pretty good. Just needs to keep that up. I'm a big fan of the 370 on-base percentage he posted, too. So, keep an eye out for him. There's a lot to like and a lot to be excited about there. Number 5 on our list is Jacob Wilson. Sometimes you just sell your soul is what you do. And Jacob Wilson is a 27-year-old who played at Double-A Springfield for like the 100th year straight. But he's really interesting because he's a professional. He's a tried and true professional. And if things get weird, he can play second, he can play third. I've seen him play short. It's weird as hell. But if the Cardinals do some weird trading stuff and Greg Garcia finds his way out of the organization and Alex Mejia and Breivik Valera don't make it back up to the majors, which is a very, very good possibility. At least if things are going well for the Cardinals, it's a good possibility. Then there's the craziest of all chances that Jacob Wilson sneaks his way into the majors. I gave him a D- grade, and the reason is because there's still that small little chance that he makes it to the majors. It's the smallest, most minute of chances, but he deserves credit for being the strong organizational depth piece he's been. It'd be really nice to see him spend an entire year at Memphis, just for his own sake, just for the hours that he's put in the organization. Our next man up is a gentleman named Danny Hudzina, who I also always call Hudzinga, because I'm a moron mostly. Hudzina is a really great organizational depth piece. He's an F-grade prospect. There's absolutely no value to any other organization than the Cardinals organization. He's played third exclusively. He plays third really well. He doesn't hit for a lot of anything, really. Doesn't have a lot of slug power, doesn't have a lot of this, a lot of that, doesn't take enough walks. But he would be the next man up. Truth be told, Montero and Whalen are really exciting. Mendoza, super exciting. Wisdom is a huge question mark. And then, there's Jacob Wilson, who you sell your soul for. And then after that, it's kind of a fall off. It's not as shallow as the first base crop or the second base crop, but it also isn't as strong as I would feel comfortable with. And that wraps up our listing of the top 5 prospects in the Cardinals organization that play third base. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll be getting into the shortstops, our last list. A lot to talk about with Delvin. That might be a long one. I'm going to try my hardest to keep it short. For everybody at Birds on the Black, I'm Kyle Reis. You can follow me at KYLER416 on Twitter. And happy hunting.